next speaker was a late boomer to poker boom about a decade ago, but quickly mastered the game and even made a couple of bucks along the way. His speech is from the Communicator Manual, Project 6, Vocal Variety. Please welcome the native Texan here to talk about No Limit Texas Hold'em, Aaron Kilton.
Imagine being under the age of 25 and winning in excess of $8 million. The past 4 winners of the World Series of Poker main event have been just that. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, and our honored guests, good to have you. No Limit Texas Hold'em Poker surged in popularity about a decade ago. Today you can play online, both for free and for money. You can find home and free roll games in every city and watch it almost daily on ESPN. Today I'm going to tell you how I came to love this game. Love it, honestly. What the game is and a couple tricks you can use to become a better player. You could say I was too cool for the poker a decade ago when it really surged in popularity. I was an anti-lemming, I'd like to say. But it wasn't until 2008 when my roommates were playing free poker on Facebook that I picked it up. Once I realized it was a game of leveraging strategic probabilities and not just blind chance, I set out to master the game. I was winning so much online and in our home tournament that I decided to go online for money, fulltiltpoker.com. My first tournament consisted of 450 players and I came in 2nd place. Not bad for a beginner.
Yeah.
So what is this lucrative game? Is it gambling? Hardly. The lottery? Now that's gambling because the odds aren't in your favor. Poker differs from other casinos and the lottery, and that you're not betting against the house, which has a statistical advantage. It's human against human, like chess, but with a wager. Play consists of 52 cards, standard deck. You have chips to represent money, and anywhere from 2 to 9 players. And you start out with 2 of your own cards face down. At the start of play, there's a dealer button, a small blind, and a big blind, all in clockwise order. Cards are dealt face down in a clockwise fashion, beginning to the left of the dealer button, starting with a small blind. The blinds are forced bets that give players reason to wager further. Without forced bets, one can simply wait for the best hand to play. Betting begins to the left of the big blind and proceeds clockwise. After the first round of betting, there are 3 community cards that are placed face up, and this is called a flop. And every single player at the table can see and use these to make their hand of 5 cards. The second round of betting starts at the small blind and proceeds clockwise. And thereafter, a 4th community card is placed up. This is called the turn, or 4th Street. Again, starting at the small blind and proceeding clockwise, the 3rd round of betting occurs. And then finally, a 5th community card is placed face up, and the 4th and final round of betting ensues. This is called the river, or 5th Street. And if you lose on this street, you might as well go to Bourbon Street afterwards. That's really the only room. On each round of betting, players may check, bet, raise, or fold. Those are your 4 options. The winner is the player with the best hand, or if all others fold, the winner is the only remaining player with cards in front of them. And the fun part about No Limit Texas Hold'em lies in its name, No Limit. You can bet the minimum all the way up to the mortgage on your house, if you so desire. Now, whether you're a beginner or a seasoned vet, I'd like to give you some tips and tricks to become a better player, because it's a game of incomplete information. You can't see the other players' hole cards, so you need to build more information. First of all, know the rank of the winning hands. The details are beyond this speech, but you never want to expect to win a hand only to ask dumbfounded, "You mean 2 pair doesn't beat 3 of a kind?" It's embarrassing. When the dealer slides you your cards, resist the urge to look at them immediately. Most people do this as soon as they get their cards. Resist that urge. Just let them sit there for a second. Watch the other players look at their cards first, how they bet, how much they bet. If they shake with enthusiasm as they're putting their bet out there, if their breathing increases with a heavy rise and fall of their chest, gather this information from each preceding player until the action gets around to you to get a more better informed decision. And when you finally do look at your cards, do so discreetly. Memorize your hand and be consistent with your eyes. If you always look directly at your chip stack, after you've seen a good hand in your whole cards, your opponents will know that you have a good hand and they won't pay you off. If you don't memorize your hand, looking again later can also signal your strength. You want to keep the opponent in the dark about where you stand. When you do decide to play a hand, do not make a minimum bet. This is also known as limping in. Always raise. This has 3 effects. 1, it makes it more expensive for opponents to see the flop. The fewer players you play against, the higher odds of you winning the hand. The pot of money actually gets larger on average with fewer players, but higher stakes. And 3rd, you set a precedent for concealing your hand strength. If you bet low when you have a weak hand, and high when you have something like pocket aces, you're telling your opponents exactly what you have, and they're not going to play with you, or they're going to stomp you every time. The 6th and final tip I'll give you is that position is one of the more important things in poker than the cards that you're actually dealt. In early position, you haven't seen what other people are going to do. So playing low to medium strength hands is extremely risky. On the flip side, in late position, you get to see everybody play up until you, and you can make a better decision. And in effect, you can play more risky hands, ones that aren't likely as to make a hand. So, in closing, if you're not already a poker player, I encourage you to try it for free at Zynga.com. You can find the application on Facebook. The Central Arkansas Library System has several books and videos on poker strategy. You can even find free roll tournaments in bars such as Zach's Place and Chrome Sports Bar and Grill. Remember, the goal of poker is just like the goal of business, to fatten your wallet. You don't need to win every hand. Just play consistently with the odds in your favor. Losing is inevitable. The trick is just not to make a habit of it. I'll see you all at the tables.
Thank you, Aaron, for that excellent speech. But I don't think everybody will have a raising hand like you to make money.